So Stalker 2 has now been out for 10 days, well just a little over as of recording this, and GSC Game World, the developers and publishers, have released a couple of patches here on the PC. We had patch 1.02 or 1 the one day, and then the morning after there was another. One was 13 gigabytes big and the other one was 10, and in all honesty, it cleared up a lot of the issues that I was having with the game personally. I know there are issues that other people are having, and even on people who have incredibly high specs for their PC, they're still encountering issues here and there. I get that, but for the most part, if you just tweak a few of the settings, the game will run absolutely fine, which is what I found. I made a video of my first, sort of like a, is it worth it first impressions after about 10 odd hours like a week ago, and since then, I have got the game running very well. The footage you're seeing is before the patch, and it was running roughly around 60 frames per second, sometimes dipping into the early 50s. It wasn't anything dramatic or anything to get excited about. It wasn't dire frame drops. But that aside, Stalker 2 is probably got to be one of the best FPS games I've played in a long time, in a very, very long time. This is a large game. It's gotten nearly or around 40 odd main missions. It's got about, I think it's 4 different endings depending on the choices that you make, because obviously it's a very non-linear story, so you can kill people if you so choose to, or work with them. There are countless side quests and collectibles to find. The map is absolutely huge, with plenty of places to discover, loot, and find all manner of things, some good, most bad, but bad in the good way. This game has a very good horror element to it as well. The gunplay is really good. It's with intense shootouts. Your weapon can get jammed as well, and needing to clear it really does add to the tension. This is not a Call of Duty style of shooter. It's a lot slower paced. It's meant to be a lot more along the, if you're thinking of along the lines of Hell Let Loose, for example, it's more in the realistic kind of era with a gun. You're not going to be omni-movementing around here, that's for sure. The weapons can also be upgraded and have attachments added. You could also upgrade your battle vest and your gas mask too, and you can buy new ones as well, which obviously offer better defenses against certain things. The sound design is also really great, and the overall world design is really good. The game is dripping with atmosphere and does genuinely feel like a post-apocalyptic nightmare. The graphics are also very, very good. I'm running everything on high, a couple of things on epic, and a couple of things on medium, and the game looks really, really good, and since the patches has been running incredibly well. The cutscenes are also really cool, as your character Skiff actually talks. He has a voice and he moves around during most of the cutscenes, interacting with the characters and all that kind of stuff, which is really, really cool, and you don't really see that this day and age that often. Normally your character just stands there and is just looking at whoever you're talking to. There are anomalies all over the place, different kinds, like fire pillars, mini tornado things, circular, invisible, wobbly doodads. There's these, I don't know what they are, like glass or daggers in the sky or whatnot, which could just inflict bleeding upon you and stuff. There is just loads. The hitboxes on a couple of them are a little off, like the fire pillars, for example. You can ignore those for the most part, but you get too close and you do get burned, even though you're pretty much nowhere near it, which is a little weird. Like I said, there's a lot of choice in the game to shape your story, so you can go your own way and do your own thing. The stealth in the game is good when it wants to work. It's serviceable for the most part, but as soon as you've been seen, that's pretty much it. You then just got to go in guns blazing, but you do get to do some cool stealth kills with your knife, which is really awesome. Now, enemy soldiers, so the human enemies, they have John Wick aim, which I think needs to be tweaked just a tad, because they have some incredible aim, and they will, if you come up against a group of them and you're in the open, you are going to get fisted, because they will just annihilate you. They don't miss a shot. Now, maybe that's by design. I don't know. I don't know if all the people within the world of Stalker 2 within this Chernobyl area are all, expert marksmen. They may well be. Now, the collection of guns that you do get to use and the attachments and all the other usable items are pretty cool. I do like the guns that you get to use. You do get given a lot of weapons throughout the main story as well, so don't panic. It's not like you're going to be stuck with some cheap-ass weapons, but then any enemies that you kill, you can pick up their gun. You can also unload their gun if you just want to take their ammo. Of course, you can sell them at local vendors and all that, and pick up side quests from vendors and all that kind of stuff as well to earn coupons. Ever since the update, it was one of the negatives I mentioned on the Worth It video, is me and a lot of other people said that it costs too much to repair your weapons. Thankfully, they've sorted that and they've lowered the cost of being able to repair your stuff and whatnot, so that's a definite win right there. Now, there's also survival elements within Stalker 2. You need to eat food and sleep, otherwise if your character gets too tired, he'll just pass out wherever he is, get exhausted, and your eyelids will keep dropping, and yeah, again, it just adds to that level of immersion, and this game is damn immersive. Now, the stamina bar depletes a bit far too quickly for me. Now, I do know that the more you carry, you can become slightly over encumbered and then majorly over encumbered, and it will drop your stamina bar even faster and make you slower. But even when you're not over encumbered, your stamina bar drops far too fast for me, and for a map that's so huge, I kind of want to get around a bit quicker than that. But then maybe, again, that's by design, I don't know. There's also great dynamic weather within this game, some of the best I've seen, especially in a first-person open-world experience, with all the different storms and the rain and the day and night cycle as well, which is really cool. And there are these emission storms, which are really gnarly. That's where everything goes red, and if you don't get to cover fast, then you're gonna die, because the winds they're just radioactive winds, which would just tear you apart. The story I actually thought was really cool, and the voice acting especially, and the characters, was very, very good and very impressive, I do have to say. Now, the performance issues at launch did suck, absolutely, but like I said, since the last couple of patches, the game has been running better, so hopefully they still keep going on. I still have seen some bugs here and there since the patch, but nothing game-breaking. I have had no crashes, I have had no memory leaks or anything. I've had no need to restart the game since I've been playing it, so that was pretty cool. And most of the bugs I saw before the patch were mainly texture related anyway, so nothing too bad. Now, I do have some sound issues occasionally from time to time where the music cuts in and out, and obviously that's a small bug there, but again, it's not the end of the world. Now, the enemy spawns also do seem a little savage. Like, you could just be walking along having a great time, and then all of a sudden a group of enemies would just appear right behind you through an area you just walked through where there were no enemies, and they are all there out in the open, and like I said, John Wick aim, and they will fist you into oblivion, which is a little annoying at times, but for the most part I've got some good well, especially at the late game, I had some good armor and whatnot, so I could run into cover really quick and then just headshot the people. And obviously with this game, it's usually one shot to the head kills, unless they're wearing a helmet, then it's a couple, but it is more realistic in that sense. Now, the mutant enemies within the game are pretty cool. Some are more beast-like, some use telekinesis to take your weapons off of you and turn them around and shoot them at you, Magneto style, which is really, really cool. They also pick up the weapons off the floor and use that too, which is really cool. And there's also another one that reanimates the dead and takes over other people's minds and turning them into its own puppets, and if you don't have side blockers, it will do the same to you, and that is really awesome. And like I said, with the horror elements and whatnot within the game, like the bloodsuckers and all that, thankfully they've lowered the health on the bloodsuckers, but I do still think that the mutant enemies are all too spongy. They're still they take far too many shots to kill. That's just my opinion. I think they need to be killed a little easier than that, because they seem to be... It turns into the Division when you come up against them, which is really annoying. But besides that, Stalker 2 is a very immersive game. With all the survival elements, the world, the music, the everything. Just everything within this game, you can tell it was a labour of love by the developers, and hopefully they continue to work on it and make sure that it runs as best as it can. I know the Stalker series as a whole has a history of being buggy and all that kind of stuff, but that will not really wash in this modern world. But Stalker 2 has had a very successful launch. It still has a very high player count for a single player game, and I'm very impressed with it personally. And at one point, well, about a week ago, I said I'd wait for a sale to get Stalker 2. Now I'd suggest grabbing it, and I think it's... Obviously, try and get it for what you can get it for, of course. Now, I want to support the game, but of course I want to support the average Joe person that doesn't have loads of money to spaff up the wall. So if you can get this cheaper on CD keys or a code somewhere, then please do. If you have Game Pass, play it on that. But if you have Steam, it's $49.99, which is 20 quid cheaper than most other AAA games that come out. But Stalker 2 really is a damn good game, but it's not a fast-paced first-person shooter. That is not what this is. It's slower paced. There's loads to explore and see and do and all that kind of stuff. It's a very, very immersive game with some technical issues like I've just mentioned, so just bear that in mind. But apart from that, Stalker 2 is one of the best FPS games I've played in a long time, and definitely worth picking up now, especially after the patches. But please let me know what you think down below, and as always, thank you very much for watching.